It's draft or bust, and I kind of got humbled really quick, leaving a D1 school, big Power 5 school, and then going to a JUCO. You have like a lot of controversial questions over yourself, like, am I good enough to keep playing?
Welcome to the Winners Club podcast. Today I'm here with D1 baseball player Bryson Hammer. Bryson, thanks for being here.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
So we're going to get into the highs and lows of your career, but before we get into it, I'd like to talk about your background. So can you tell us, who was Bryson Hammer as an athlete growing up?
Yeah, so growing up, I've always played baseball. I've always kind of been around sports, whether it be, basketball, football, whatever. So baseball, was one of the ones that, I felt like I was given a God-given ability to, and it was just, it kind of just took off from a young age. And I would say it didn't really get serious till about ninth grade. So that's whenever I kind of started taking it more serious and, going to lessons and stuff like that.
And senior year, you became like the top 16th highest ranked pitcher in North Carolina. So what do you think led you to that point? Was it mostly all talent?
I would definitely say early on, high school it's a lot of just talent. I think it's just like a lot of God-given ability. Obviously, it was kind of unpolished, like raw material. Just not a lot of focus on mentality. I would say it was just more just like go out there and do what you do.
I can tell you're humble, but was there did you train extra than other people? Was it something that early on you could tell that you were kind of a step ahead of others?
I would say yes and no. I would say I definitely didn't train how I should. I think earlier, just in high school, it's just I didn't really take it as serious as I probably should have. And I also, didn't really know how to take it as serious. I was like lifting and stuff like that. And
so you were able to succeed in high school through, I will say, mainly talent, and then you were able to commit to D1 Clemson. Tell us like that journey of playing Clemson.
So I'll kind of just take you through my high school years. So ninth grade year, I kind of flew under the radar, and then going into that summer is whenever I kind of like ticked up, I would say. So ninth grade summer, going into 10th grade, I had a lot of jumps. I talked to a bunch of D1 schools like in the East Coast, like ECU, Chapel Hill, all pretty much every school in North Carolina. Just kind of was just obviously still young, as 15, so I really didn't think much of it. So I'd say it got a lot more serious my sophomore year with, Clemson and stuff. And, they made an offer, and I felt like it was, a good idea for me to go there. Obviously being young, a lot of it's about money and like scholarship stuff. And, you don't want to pay a lot of school, don't want to be in debt. So that's kind of why I made my decision. And another big thing is for baseball, you can get drafted out of high school. So that was kind of like my end goal. I went into the senior year with the mentality of, it's draft or bust, and I kind of, obviously got humbled really quick. I think I pitched 2 games and then, got sent home. Draft obviously didn't happen for me. Then went on to my first year at Clemson, and it just kind of didn't really go in my favor. I think a lot of it was mentality, just kind of like a lack on what I needed to do and how I needed to do it. From every decision I made from then on out was, solely based on, what I feel like God needed for my life and just how I handled situations.
When you first came to Clemson, playing in the top baseball players in the country, what was that like? Was that a wake up call? Definitely. And then how'd you respond to that in that first year?
It was definitely a wake up call. I played summer ball. I played against guys that were really good, and I played with guys that were really good. And that's just kind of what the attitude I carried into Clemson was, just like, because I pitched in high school, I'm going to pitch here. And that's just that's how I went into it. And obviously, got really humbled really quick. I actually didn't pitch at all my first year, redshirted. And, that's just kind of how it went.
And then you said that was right during 2020. So how did that affect you that whole year?
Going into 2020, obviously that's a big year for a senior that's, has done pretty good for themselves, going up the ladder with the draft and everything. And to me, it was, like I told you, it was kind of like draft or bust. And so I put a lot of emphasis on getting drafted, which obviously was a horrible idea on my part. And whenever I only pitched, like I said, two games, it just ended up not happening at all.
So it was mainly because of COVID. Do you think that something would have changed if they would have had it?
Oh, no, most definitely. I think it definitely could have changed the course of like where I am. But, I'm humbled and I'm glad to be here for sure.
And then you went to a JUCO, so there's always some stigma of going to JUCO. Of course, all the people who want to go pro and then you go to JUCO, you're like, so what was your initial thoughts going into it? And then how did it change your expectations once you had that first year?
Oh yeah, no doubt. And that's how, I think it's kind of funny how you picked me to do this was, because that was the biggest mental part, or like a mental block, leaving a D1 school, big Power 5 school, and then going to a JUCO. It was just like, it was very, very humbling. I talked to a lot of schools, more D1 schools coming out of Clemson, like in the transfer portal, but I just, I didn't feel led in order to go to them places. I just didn't feel like it was a good fit for me. And like, I feel like I needed a place where I could pitch a lot and like, kind of just get back up on my feet. So obviously, it was hard to start with, but I mean, it's the choice you made, and like, you don't have a choice but to, get over it, and you get back up on your feet, and you gotta go with it. Like, there's not much of a choice you have. If this is what you want, like baseball, if you want that as a career, you gotta grind, and that's just a part of it.
So you went to JUCO and everything in North Carolina. All that was in North Carolina. You went to travel thousands of miles over here to DBU. So what made you make the decision to come here, aside from other colleges? And then how was your transition?
Obviously, I wanted to go back to a big school, and like I wanted to be able to like prove myself almost a little bit, that I could play here, because it's hard like going from a D1 school to a JUCO, and then like you do good, and it's just like, oh, well, he's just out of JUCO, it's almost like kind of dismeaning, or like it didn't mean nothing. So I wanted to come back to a college where I was wanted, and really felt like the development side of things were gonna be different than they were my first years.
Yeah, how was the initial transition? Meeting new teammates, you're in a new state and everything. How was the transition?
The teammates are really good. Everybody's really good guys. Everybody wants the best for you, and like especially coming from far away, everybody tries to make it feel like home, and everybody's done a really good job at that.
So now we can talk about the baseball part of it. So practice gets kind of monotonous. You do the same thing over and over. So how do you really stay disciplined to maintain that discipline throughout the whole season?
I think it's got everything to do with that one goal, like wanting to be a professional athlete. Like it's repetitive, and like it's, if you want to do it and like you love the game, you'll do it. And so I think a lot of it just has to do with, you should want to almost, like if it's your goal, like it's just what you want to do.
How did you build confidence in practice? What's something you do that helps you bounce back after throwing a lot of balls or not throwing what you want?
How we have a split up. Like you have your pregame ritual, you have like your in-game like adjustments, and then you have like your post-game like review of like everything.
Yeah, so take us through all that.
Yeah. So I would say pregame for me is just a lot of like watching like a highlight reel. That's one thing we've been really big on here, is like you remember in a time where like everything was working good for you, like just being able to remember what that felt like, repetition, or like taking like a snapshot and keep it in your head, or like a really good time. Mid-game adjustments, I think, once you're in the game, you're there. You have to be able to make those type of adjustments. And one of the big things is just breathing. Like a box breath, it's like hold 4, breathe for 4, hold 4 seconds, and then you breathe out for 4 seconds. So that's been like a really big thing we do here, and it just like kind of like slows you down, like gets you more in control of your body. And it's just like a lot of being able to control your mind in those type of situations. And so that's been the biggest thing for me, is just the mini adjustments during game. You're not trying to do a lot, you're just trying to like just to get you through that inning, and then you got to go to the next inning. It's just a battle, like a mental battle the whole time. And I would say the post game is just like watching video, like seeing little things you can critique, or in season, you're not trying to do a whole lot of like adjustments. That's what the fall's for. You get a lot of different things going on now. So that's pretty much how it goes.
Your teammates, you guys have a good tight-knit community where you said every week you guys talk about things that go on. Can you kind of tell us a little bit about that?
So kind of like every week we have this thing on Wednesday. We all separate up into groups as team, and like we have like these accountability groups almost. It's just like, it's called Oaks. We kind of go through a book and just come together and like tell stuff that we're working on, whether it be like faith-based or just just like emotion, like what you're going through, what you're trying to like fix, or, stuff like that. And another thing we do as a whole team is, every day we'll have like a team meeting or something, and we'll just go through like, whether it be like the gospel, or, what's something that we're going through right now that we feel like we're struggling with, or whatever it may be, mentality, like what we need to fix, physicality, just how to control what we can control.
How do you deal with losses and wins? Like, I imagine you're probably a very competitive person. So what's your relationship to winning?
I would definitely say the biggest thing about like winning is you either win or you learn. I don't feel like there's a whole lot of loss anymore. Whenever you're just sitting there and you're complaining about losing, or like what somebody done in the game, or how we could have won, that just gets you nowhere. You either have to win or you learn. And so you got to learn from your mistakes. You got to be able to come back and like just drain it. And I think, like I was telling you, the biggest thing with the pitchers, you got to learn to you got to drain it. Like one pitch didn't go right, all right, well, you got to get right back to the next one.
Do you like tell yourself drain it?
Oh yeah, no doubt. And I think that's kind of what the breath does too. It just like helps you get over it. One of the big guys is Spencer Strider. He pitches for the Braves actually, and he has like this routine that he does before he starts pitching, where he like breathes in and he breathes out, and he like holds it in his hand and he throws it away. Okay. So it's just kind of like a mental cue for him that just kind of helps him get over it.
What would you say is your biggest like mental challenge that you've had to deal with? Were you able to overcome it, or is it still something you're going through?
One of the biggest things for me was like I wasn't consistent, like was kind of inefficient in a way. So like on average, I would say like a big league pitcher can go 7 innings and throw probably 80 pitches to 90 pitches. Well, for me, it was like 7 innings and I'm at 110 pitches. So like I just wasn't consistent at all with my pitches. So one of the big things that helped me with that was like the mentality of it, like just breathing, being able to understand that like you don't have to be perfect.
What was the lowest and then the highest moments of your career, and then how did it affect you?
I would say one of the lowest points of my career was probably leaving Clemson. Like that was just really like mentally like a block for me. I was committed to that school. I committed to that school with my sophomore year of high school, and like you're committed to that team for 2 years, and like you get there and it's not kind of like what you expected it to be. Leaving that school was kind of like heartbreaking for me. It was tough. It was really hard. You have like a lot of controversial questions over yourself. Like, am I good enough to keep playing? Like it was just like one of the disheartening things for me. It was just hard to deal with. So that was definitely the lowest. I would say the highest has probably been, last year, just like at a JUCO, just getting my feet back under me and being able to like know that I can still compete at one of the college levels. So
that's pretty much the reality of most college athletes. They go to a place, they expect, it's going to be D1, it's going to be a great time, and it's a real rocky road. So was there something that helped you get over that hump?
I think it's just honestly my faith. I think, my faith in Christ and being able to know that like he guides my path, and like I knew I wasn't supposed to be there as soon as, whenever I, wasn't getting the results I wanted and stuff like that. So I feel like as soon as I realized, God has bigger plans for me than just, one school, it was really like just humbling and like, at peace with it.
More of a lighthearted question is, do you have any weird pregame quirks?
I would definitely say just the music that I listen to. I know a lot of guys are like heavy metal type deal. A lot of guys like the hardcore music. I'm more of like a soft country guy. Like I feel like I get a little bit too like amped up, so like I feel like the sad country kind of like just calms me down, keeps me to reality. So I don't know, that's one thing that's always helped me.
Yeah, it's interesting. You go into a big high competitive game and try to go sad.
That's just I don't know. It's just always helped me stay in the moment instead of like making it too big. So it's always been something that's helped me.
You're saying it kind of connects back to maybe your childhood growing up. You said you guys obviously you probably listen to a lot of country music.
Oh yeah, most definitely, yes sir.
Does that kind of help you think back to those old days and just feel like everything's okay? It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, for sure. Whenever you're young in a sport, you're not thinking about like a lot of it. So I mean, it's a kid's game, so might as well just play it like a kid's game.
That's the secret. Listen to country music.
Yeah, there you go.
What's one thing you would tell like an upcoming college athlete to help them ease into that process?
Oh man, this is a good one. I think a lot of guys just focus on big schools. And like I've been there, I've done it. I definitely say just go where you're wanted. A lot of guys, like I said, just focus on the money side of it and just like feeling like you need to go somewhere just because you need to go there, like just all the cool gear. Like it's really just about who wants you, who's going to drive you and develop you, and where do you feel like you can fit in the best.
What's the biggest challenge you're going to overcome in this upcoming season?
A personal challenge, I wouldn't really say there's a lot going on right now. I think it's being able to stay within myself and like just not trying to do too much, just be who I am. But like I would say as a team early on in the year, we played Kansas actually, and we got beat 15-4. And then we played the next week, played ACU and won 12-1. So
how do you deal with that? Because you said you went from getting beat badly to within a week?
Yeah, it was within a week. Yep.
I can tell you're a pretty even kill guy, but is that something that really helps you? Like if you get a big win, you don't get too excited. When you get a big loss, don't get too low.
Exactly. Like I told you, it's the win or learn. I feel like whenever you lose, it's just a learning experience. And so for us, it was a learning experience. We realized one of our biggest things was how we prepared. We didn't come to practice ready, and it kind of showed. We kind of was lackadaisical a little bit, and so that was the thing we worked on all next week, was just coming to practice prepared, holding each other accountable, and doing it with intent. And obviously, it paid off for us.
What's your ambition in college and beyond?
The real big thing is, I mean, obviously, every kid always wants to be a pro baseball player, but I'd say as one of my biggest goals, it's just doing whatever God wants for me. Whether that may be here, whether that may be being a coach or whatever. I just just being at peace with the decision that God's put me in is a big thing.
That's good. And then this last question, in your own words, what does it mean to be a winner?
To me, a winner is somebody that never gives up. It's somebody that, always has the same mentality, whether they're winning or they're losing. Somebody that's willing to get after it, whatever it may take.